Formerly suicidal Redditors, what's something that kept you alive a little while longer and helped you to get through the dark times in your lives? If you ever need help, then please know that there are many qualified people who would like to help you. There are crisis services worldwide that are trained to provide support. They are designed to give temporary relief from feelings that are overwhelming you, and while they are unlikely to fix any underlying problems, can help you get through a tough hour-night week. Chat services are usually available on these sites. In the US, calling 211 or going to their website is a free referral source. They have providers who will see you regardless of your ability to pay. Just as you would see a doctor when you are sick, you deserve to take care of your mental health. I called someone I barely knew a couple of days before I planned it to basically unload what I couldn't say to those closest to me. It sounds backwards, I know, but I wasn't really thinking straight back then. I don't think they understood the reason to the call because we shifted to talking about roommates and I had a good laugh for the first time in a while. I decided after we hung up that if a stranger could make me smile, that I wanted to try to meet those who could make me happier and hopefully be that person for someone else. A year later and I can happily say I'm better and enjoying life. I found that the only real person though that can make me happy was myself. I just needed to give him a chance. That person that I originally called, I am still in contact with them but haven't told them how much they helped me that day yet, mostly out of being nervous. LOL. I hope to repay them though with never leaving their side because they came to mine without even realizing it, and I am forever grateful. My advice to anyone making this far, my response LOL is it doesn't cost you anything to listen and be nice. Someday you may help someone more than you will ever realize. My cat found me in the bush in the back of my house at 3 AM and wouldn't leave me alone. She headbutted me and rubbed into my legs as I stood there with the knife trying to get her to away. Had her for 20 years until she passed 2 years ago. Something about her that night broke me out of the crushing darkness momentarily and allowed me to get therapy to deal with the problems. Love you, kiss. My cat was the same. I went through a really bad period and every time I committed to ending things, she would just be right there cuddling and purring and refusing to leave me alone. She would put her paw on my arm and dig her claws in just enough to make me look at her. She saved my life a few times doing that. I finally cleaned my life up and things are better now. But when she passed I had her paw tattooed on my arm. So she stays with me and still reminds me from time to time that there's always someone out there that understands. And I swear sometimes when I do get depressed I can feel her claws on my arm. It's amazing to me that of all of the people I've known, my husband, my family, it was a cat that was able to connect with me. The few friends who still stayed in contact with me, they were the small glimmer of light who kept me in this world. For me it was my nieces. They were babies when I started having suicidal thoughts. But I kept thinking, they'll never get to know me if I kill myself. I would think of them saying, I have 2 aunts on my dad's side but one of them killed herself. I didn't want them to say that. Now, I don't really have a relationship with them because I don't have a relationship with my brother, but at least there's the possibility of one in the future. I have kind of a similar situation. My aunt on my dad's side killed herself. I've never known her but every single person in my family who knew her said I resemble her in every way, from looks to her introversion. It's just really sad that I couldn't know her. I sometimes think she would have understood me, because no one in my family does, and even though I haven't met her, I miss her. My 9-year-old daughter. About 18 months ago I was in a very bad place, but I am a single dad and I would not do anything to hurt my daughter. Hey. So I've actually been the 9-year-old daughter. Don't do it. Me too. I found a suicide note from my father, tucked away on his laptop when I was searching for games around the age of 9. I remember calling him and crying and begging him not do it. He claimed he had no idea what I was talking about, but I know what I found and what I read left no questions. He even described what I was going to inherit from him and why he was giving it to me. I get so sad thinking about it. But now, as an adult and a mom, it's crushing to think of what he must have felt hearing his youngest daughter begging him not to kill himself. I'm wondering if maybe I was his reason. I'm sorry, but this made me cry. My cat helped me to keep going. Unfortunately she passed away, but I keep going with her in mind. What has helped me is to keep my mind busy at all times. I work on my YouTube videos or paint a lot. It keeps me focused on just that. I'm still depressed and suicidal, but haven't had an episode as I call them for some months now, except some days. Came to say the same thing. The thought of my cat having to go back to the Humane Society and not understanding what was going on was enough to keep me going more than once. I am crying. That's what kept me going so far as well. I was suicidal and taking Xanax, but I took too much on accident. I could feel a weight on my chest type of feeling. I was scared from it. The day after, when I finally felt like I was able to do something, I adopted a puppy. She's been my reason to get up in the morning for over a year. I'm so glad that caring for a dog helped you in that way. I struggle a lot with suicidal thoughts and I have pretty severe bipolar disorder. I want so desperately to adopt a dog because I know it will improve my mental health significantly. Dogs have always had such a huge impact on my life. Every day I almost drive to a shelter and pick up a dog. Every day I look online for adoptable puppies. It feels like my heart is yearning for them. But I can't adopt, because I am in an incredible amount of debt, and have lost my job to my mental health, and applied for disability benefits, which was denied. No income. So I have no options. And sometimes thinking about that makes me feel even worse. Because I know what will make me better, but I can't justify the expense. I lost everything in the pandemic and in this horrible stage of my life. And I just have to be dogless and lonely because of it. Breaks my heart. Edit. I woke up this morning to all these upvotes and sincere messages and I'm simply overwhelmed. I have tears in my eyes. Thank you all for your advice. Every word means the world to me. I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Knowing that my mum wouldn't have someone to walk her down the aisle when she married my now stepfather. My dad had died 3 years prior and I think it would have broken her completely. Hurting people was mine, too. Even if it's just a janitor or cop. I don't want to make sad work for anyone ever. Yet, either someone's gonna find your body or someone is always going to wonder what happened if they don't find it. I have a major dissociative disorder and have had a few of my dissociates have suicidal thoughts and actions. I'm glad they didn't work and it still scares me. Like, I'm okay with being here. It hurts to know parts of me are so not okay that they don't want to live anymore. All that held me back was the feeling of guilt for how my family would feel. I couldn't do it to them. I used to think, I can't do it because my parents would be crushed. Eventually, even that wasn't enough. I found a thread on Reddit that was nothing but comments and stories from people whose loved one committed suicide. That did it for me. I sobbed because it took this ambiguous notion of it would hurt mom and dad and turned it into something more concrete. Instead of just knowing they'd be upset, that thread helped me see how it would affect them in the long term. I turned to that thread several times over a 2-year period. I haven't had to read in a long time, but I think that thread did help save my life. I'll have to search for it when I get home and share the link. Edit. Looks like Quinn found it for us before I got home. For anyone who's curious, this is the thread I'm talking about. It helped me a lot, though your mileage may vary. I imagine plenty of people might find it more upsetting than helpful. Edit 2. I've gotten a ton of messages and replies from people thanking me for sharing the link and saying they're struggling with suicidal thoughts and ideation. I want to add something for those of you who are in the spot I was once in. You know that stupid saying, it gets better? Well, it really does get better. I was diagnosed with PTSD and severe chronic depression and anxiety in my 20s, and I was suicidal for several years. I finally got help. It wasn't a quick and easy fix. It literally took years and lots of work. But the important thing is that getting help was the turning point. I've put my life back together and I'm doing really well. And although I do sometimes slip back into severe depressive episodes, just climbed out of one. In fact, I can remind myself, I've got this. I've beat it before and I know I can do it again. Even if it feels like I can't. It'd be weird if I died and still had packages coming in the mail. So I try to keep something coming that I can look forward to. Edit. I had a really long day today with no time to look at Reddit. So imagine my shock as opened this thread. I definitely wasn't prepared for this. Oh wow. Thank you all so much for the support. I'll try my best to go through and reply to as many people as I can sometime tomorrow. Again, thank you all. I used to really enjoy going to gigs, so when I was struggling with depression I'd make sure I had tickets to see a band I liked. On the particularly bad days, I'd think it'd be silly to do anything before I see them play. Seems a bit silly to write, but it worked for me. I guess have something to look forward to. Whatever it is, I did this too. I'd make far out plans for shows, and would plan to kill myself afterwards. But then I'd find another show to go to. I'm not into the same bands anymore, but I got a dog and she healed my soul. I remember reading somewhere where someone was suicidal in a forum saying they were going later that day or something, and everyone was talking about it, and someone replied something along the lines of, "Why don't you just go?" I've always wondered this about people who are suicidal. If you're really done, then why don't you leave everything behind? Start walking in a direction and just go. It doesn't matter where you end up or if you get killed along the way, because that's what you were trying to do anyway. Something about that really resonated with me. Those of us with nothing to lose have everything to gain from this world. The quote that resonated with me, although never suicidal, was, "Do you want to end your life or end the life you're living as you know it? You can go anywhere, be anything or anyone. Any outcome has the potential to be better than the original intended plan." The guilt if I failed and everyone found out. I've heard some horror stories about people who survive. Like that they go through extreme pain or they're permanently damaged from it and stuff. There's even stories of people surviving gunshots to the head. I always had the mentality that if I attempt it, I need to be certain it'll work. But I never had time to do the research to make sure it was like 99% gonna work. Because the research involved checking out locations hours away. So I never had time. And then luckily I stopped wanting to do it. So there was no need for any plan or research. The thought that any of my students might look at my decision and choose to follow in my footsteps. I could accept my own death, but I couldn't stand the idea of theirs. When I was in 6th grade, my science teacher committed suicide. It scarred me. I promised to myself to never kill myself because I didn't want anyone to feel the pain I felt on that day when they announced this to everyone. My 7th grade geography teacher committed suicide. He was so congenial, almost robotically friendly, and our whole inner city public school class walked all over his authority. Not in the sense of being mean to him, but of not listening, not paying attention, everyone out of their seats socializing. General chaos. One day near the end of the year he completely snapped, and started cussing us out up and down. We were all in disbelief and shock. A few months later we found out he killed himself. Left a family behind. At the funeral his wife said he had always struggled with mental health issues. It was really heartbreaking. Edit. Clarifying the walked all over part. I finished a suicide note and folded it into my wallet on the bus ride back onto base after a weekend of binge drinking on the beach to avoid every person I could. When I got back to the barracks I looked at my rackmate and told him exactly what I wrote down in that note, and instead of making things worse he genuinely helped me, and reminded me that not every Marine is meant to do a full term. Sometimes things just don't go as planned, and it's okay to take that DD 214 early, even if it will disappoint your family. We still talk around the holidays every year. Edit. Thank you for the award. I've never received one on Reddit to my knowledge. I would also like to add that if anybody reads this, and you feel somewhat lost while in the military, don't be afraid to go to medical and talk about it. It happens unfortunately often where speaking directly to your chain of command will not help things and word can travel fast. But there is absolutely nothing wrong in seeking help to allow yourself to be the best Marine, sailor or whatever title you gave your all to achieve. It's just harder in some units compared to others. That's awesome of them. Glad you two keep in touch. It is. And I'm very thankful. I can always kill myself. So why not keep pushing just another day? I used to say that when I was getting clean. Every single day for over a year I'd say I'm getting high tomorrow. 11 years clean now. You absolute madlad. You procrastinated your way to freedom. Serious props to you. Ha. You're right. I hadn't thought of it like that. Who knew one of my faults would save my life? Lessons still to be had here. Thank you. Stubbornness. When I was in middle and high school, the first time I was suicidal, I thought I wouldn't make it to 25. When I got out of that I decided I was going to make it to 25. Damn the torpedoes. Full speed ahead. I'm 25 now but I made it this far. If the mental illness wants me dead so badly it needs to shut down my organs and kill me its damn self. Because I'm not going anywhere. Also, my pets. I don't want to be without my pets. They were the only things that made me happy. And even when I didn't feel like anyone else loved me I knew they did. That's inspiring AF. I don't understand how you guys do it. I can barely hold on anymore. This should probably be tagged. Serious. Feck I forgot. But hey let's see. Are you Irish? Feck is a very Irish saying. Feck is the perfect balance of being able to swear but not piss off your mother in the process. The rest of the world should really pick up on it. I couldn't leave my dog. Same. I remember looking at him in my darkest moment and he changed everything. Me too. My dog depends on me. And even though I sometimes don't think much about my own life, I love her too much to leave her defenseless and emotionally scarred. And this is one reason why taking care of a dog is honestly great therapy for people with depression. When you're too sad to leave your bed, you still need to get up to let them potty and get them food. The thought that killing myself meant those who didn't believe in me won. So I refused to die. Out of spite. Watch me live and succeed in life. Now, edit. Thanks for the very kind and very fake unkind words. It was lovely. And the awards. What a ride. A few things I'd like to add. 1. I am an angry woman too. Camus resonates with me. Yes. Have read him extensively. Chill dude free. Some lives do not have positive emotions and we make do with what we have for. It is always worth it to rub your success in trashy people's faces. Stay alive for arrogance. Thank you. This is pretty much what I did. My mother, who had full custody of me at the time, openly hated me and frequently told me to just kill myself and get it over with. I pushed onward out of spite because I didn't want her to have the satisfaction while I was living there. Shortly after leaving, I got pregnant with my daughter, so the thought of my god-awful family or horrible ex and his family getting custody and raising her kept me alive while I went through therapy to handle my baggage. A hug from a friend that lasted just a little longer than normal. It let me know that someone cared about me and was willing to invest in me more than just the minimum. It gave me the tiniest spark of hope where there had been none. Sometimes it's the small things that matter most. I was standing on a bridge over the Mississippi River in Minneapolis with the intention to jump, and I took about 5 minutes to look over the edge and decide whether to land on the water or concrete slab 30 feet or so below. Then the thought crossed my mind to walk to the other side of the bridge and think about it on the way back. So I walked, then walked past where I was standing, and back to my car. When I got back into my car I burst into tears, ugly crying, screaming, hitting my steering wheel, the works. I was 3 steps from being dead, 1 onto the concrete, 1 over the rail, and the last off the edge. That was the lowest I had ever sunk. I think what kept me going was the thought of lost potential. I was working a monotonous job that didn't challenge me, had no friends, and had so much love to give to someone who I hadn't met yet. I didn't want to lose any of that, so I devoted my life moving forward to growth and challenging myself. Now, 2 years and 1 month later, I have my own house, a loving girlfriend, a fun and challenging job, and am in the best mental state of my life. I'm glad I didn't jump. I fully planned to kill myself until I wrote a song in G minor, and it was really, really beautiful, and I wanted to see if anything else that beautiful was in me. In retrospect it was a really pretentious angsty piece of crap, but it saved my life. Got anything new that you've created? Sure. Since then I've put out 3 albums. Well, don't leave us with the suspense. Where can we listen to them? The road broke. Overdose didn't work. Couldn't cut deep enough to lose enough blood. Realized that if I failed 3 separate times, maybe it's not my time. 7 people in my life, at the time, were not giving me the time of day and I wasn't giving myself enough chances to heal. Got help. Got rid of all the toxic people in my life who were causing me hurt and pain. Met someone who rocked my world and made me want to be a better version of myself. I'm still healing and learning, but you never really stop doing that. Kaya kaho everyone. If I die, my mom will have to get rid of my guinea pigs because she doesn't have time to take care of them. Also because killing myself would make my girlfriend sad, and I haven't met my half-brother yet, and I want to know how my favorite show ends. They may be dumb reasons, but if it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid. Music really helps. Not even to make you feel better, but to know your emotions are shared by others. You're never alone really. I use the upcoming video game release schedules of the years I would lose. Not even the announced releases, but the ones in the future that I wouldn't even get to know about. Pretty lame, but it was enough. I started watching Red Dwarf when I was younger. I honestly planned on ending everything, but it was so funny and interesting I wanted to finish the whole series. I honestly believe it saved my life and took my mind away from the dark thoughts even for just 1 hour a day. After my second attempt, I spent 2 weeks in hospital. They fed me coal. For 2 weeks I black and nurses cleaned up my I killed myself, but only the part that I hate. I killed everything I hate about me. Cleaned the toxic PPL around me. One day, I just said to myself, no, you won't go anywhere like this. You will have what you deserve, and if they don't give it to you, you will take it. You will quit smoking, begin sports, get mental and physical strength. You won't just be nice and wait PPL to give it to you anymore. You will take it. So it was my anger. It saved me actually. When you're so angry that you fix your life. My dog. He was the only one who cared when I cried and when my parents would scream at me. Truly, man's best friend. When I was a teenager, I had bad problems with depression and anxiety that led to very self-destructive behavior. There were many times I imagined killing myself, and one night I was set on doing it. Came home drunk and sad and started cutting myself, which was one of my methods for dealing with my emotions. I sat in my bed crying, trying to find the courage to cut deeper and end it. Then my dog Snoopy hopped up on the bed and put his head on my lap. Thanks to him doing that, I realized that I just couldn't do that to him or to my parents and friends. He saved my life that night. The next day I decided to open up to my parents and ask them to help me find some help, which was a huge step forward. Starting seeing a therapist, and she really helped me work through a lot of things. Still struggle a bit sometimes, but I'm able to manage thanks to the help I received, and I credit that little lovable mutt for me being around today. Edit. Snoopy was there by my side for almost 17 years. Here is the very first picture of us together, and here is the last a couple of days before he passed. Also here is a shitty tattoo of a caricature of him that I gave myself when I was drunk shortly after he died. So whenever things are feeling tough, I can look down and smile at that goofy face and remember him. That the people who brought me this low would win. Them. I'm not going to let them win. Remembering how devastating it was when my brother killed himself. I couldn't do that to my kids. I'd rather be miserable for the rest of my life than put them through that hell. Knowing that I would put my family through the same hell my father put us under. This is exactly what I think of. I lost my father to suicide. I can't bear the thought of my mother going through this again. The fact that by killing myself I would be even more of a disappointment, and all the effort people have out towards me would just go to waste. It's never too late to seek help. You have to fix your own problems, but there are lots of people out there who hold most definitely love to help. From people you know to complete strangers. Thinking about my family, friends, and how hurt they would be. I think the thing that helped me most was probably my parents. I had a very good relationship with them, and they were always there to support me no matter what happened. There have been numerous times in my life where I felt like killing myself, but because of them, I never did it. They knew about my feelings and they were extremely supportive. I am not sure how much of an impact this had on me, but it definitely helped. I think the other thing that really helped me was my teachers. I had some fantastic teachers in high school and college. They were always there to help me out when I needed it most. I don't think I would be alive if it wasn't for them. It is very difficult to explain, but there have been a few other things that I think have helped me. One of them was my friends. They were always there for me. They did not really know about my depression or suicidal thoughts, but whenever I was feeling down, they were there for me and would lift up my mood. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be alive. The thought that anyone I cared about would think it was their fault and they would have to live with guilt. Didn't want that for them. Possibility of becoming a vegetable if I do it wrong. I always tell myself that I'll wait until my dog dies to kill myself. She hasn't died yet, so I guess I'm still alive. There are a lot of dogs that need help. Going to a funeral for someone who committed suicide. She was the same age as me. We grew up together. Not the best of friends, but I knew her through elementary, junior high, and high school. We were 19 when she passed. It strangely was around the same time I attempted. The look on her mother's face. It broke my stone heart. She hugged me and cried. I made my decision right there not to ever do it. I don't want to break my mother's heart. I have talked to a few people who were on the verge. I has thus far been successful. The pain they feel, it is mine as well. Please look out for all of your friends. The ones that are loud and the ones that are quiet. We all suffer. Be someone's sunshine. My dogs, both passed unfortunately, and knowing my sister would be the one to find me since she always was the first to come home. It sounds so dumb, but I truly think that the fear of the unknown is the only thing that saved me. Obviously we don't really know what if anything happens after death, and honestly almost every religion's idea of an afterlife or the atheist belief that you just stop existing all seem pretty to me compared to just living a life on Earth. Like sure I may be dead inside, but at least if I stay on Earth I get things like video games and YouTube and those few other things that I can still find enjoyment in. My kids. Edit. Stay strong, friends. Our kids need us now more than ever. Reach out if you need someone to listen. I start work at 11 p.m. CST. Saturday to Tuesday. I was looking for this answer, because it's mine too. Edit. Like you, Alabaster Williams. I'm here if you need someone to vent to. I also offer advice. As a separate service. Also free of charge. I had a few attempts that landed me in the hospital. I was tired of hurting the people I loved over and over. I was really in love with my boyfriend at the time, now husband, and I hated when he came to visit me in the hospital and looked so defeated. I decided I was either going to do it or not. If my family and boyfriend had to go through all this again, it would only be one more time. The next time I was going to go to the store, buy a gun, and eat it. No more of these take a lot of painkillers and hope attempts. I figured if I wanted to die so badly, the method shouldn't matter. Death is death. I also decided that if I couldn't man up and do it right, I would try to make the most of my life. Turns out I just didn't have it in me to commit to such a brutal method. I considered it a few times. Still do. But I just can't. It's too scary. I take that to mean that I'm probably not committed enough to make this huge decision. Tried and survived. Pills with alcohol doesn't work like on TV. I vomited and wake up a day or two later in my own vomit and piss, so I don't want to be fined like that. Anyway, things got better and now I'm over it. Parents and also video games. I wish I could make a love letter explaining to every developer personally how they saved me through those dark times by creating media which started from simple arcade games to breathing worlds that also are cinematic masterpieces. Sometimes the gameplay makes up for it instead of the story, while sometimes you need a bit of story with that gameplay. I'll just point out the main one. Valve. Thank you for making media which helped me through dark times. I've played most of the games that you've made from L4D to CS 1.6. I can't thank you enough for bringing memories and a distraction to keep me away from that noose. Even if you're a business, I want you to succeed further since you've earned it. I loved the Left 4 Dead series and replayed Portal and Half-Life multiple times over, not to mention the mods too. You deserved the breakup until Half-Life Alyx, and the fact that you even made HL gives me hope for the gaming industry. I love Valve and I hope you do too. Cringy, but there was a thread going around on Tumblr that I read while planning my second attempt that discussed the medical realities of failed suicide attempts. How common they were and the often debilitating injuries the survivors were left with afterwards, such as cut ligaments and tendons leading to loss of function of the hands after cutting wrists, or brain damage after a failed hanging attempt, and so on. The brutal and frank discussion of how common it was to fail really stuck with me after my first attempt had failed, and stopped me from going through with my second attempt. It's weird that it was mainly just the embarrassment and fear of failure that kept me from trying to end it again. Nothing deeply profound or meaningful. Just me being awkward, I guess. Telling myself, it up and get on with it, because I have a job to do and a responsibility to the people around me. Sounds counterintuitive, but it became really motivating for me. I think a lot of my feeling depressed came from feeling useless and out of control. So when I realized I had a responsibility to make a contribution to the world and to not let other people down, it became empowering and flipped things around for me. Things still get tough, but I keep the same mindset. My favorite quote from LOTR. Frodo, I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened. Gandalf, so do all who live see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what we do with the time that's given to us. I'm okay, Game of Thrones. Really? Not season 8, of course. Sometime around season 4 or 5, whichever came out in spring, I made a really half-assed suicide attempt and was going to try again. I just wanted to wait a week until the first episode of the new season. It came and I wanted to watch the next one. By mid-season my meds finally kicked in and the weather got really nice, so I got through. Having pets, especially having ones that would be a challenge to adopt away, would be put down, such as a pit bull and a very sick cat. In essence, I'd have killed them, and I couldn't ever do that. I was going out to end it all when a friend texted me asking how I was doing. In the darkest time of my life, them reaching out helped me realize that I wasn't completely alone. My cat eater, thank you for the gold :3. My cat is indeed my little reason for being. This thread, yeah, really makes me emotional reading all of this. I just gotta say, my religion. I know it's a touchy thing for some people and Reddit is known for hating on it, but I truly believe it's the thing that saved my life from me. My depression and self-hate stemmed from two things: the people around, both family and classmates, just making me feel like a disappointment, and myself, since I thought I was worthless and just couldn't help seeing myself as less than everyone else, like something that was expendable. I didn't care that I would die and I believed no one else would. But what ultimately stopped was trying to see stuff from God's perspective. My relationship with God was never that I better do what he says or else I'll go to hell type of thing. It was more of he made, cares, and wants the best type of relationship, like a healthy parent-child type of thing. Because that was how my church taught it. And for what it's worth, and you guys may think this is cliche or something, but just the thought that I was made with a purpose for my life but I was going to waste it by killing myself really put things in perspective for me. And, like how a kid doesn't like to disappoint his parents, I just didn't want to make God sad by ending myself like that. Obviously, my depression and problems didn't just go away right then and there, but just that moment of truth really helped me finally set the building blocks down for me to reconstruct my life and finally feel like I deserved to live. Like I said earlier, I know to a lot of you religion probably doesn't mean anything and is something that our society would be better off if it didn't exist. Not shaming or blaming, just pointing out the rhetoric I usually see here. But it was a lifesaver for me. Anyway, I hope you guys can understand and keep any comments civil.